Now, out of everything we published this past month, or at least since the beginning of the year, at least four forces, in my opinion, stand out as they've taken a new momentum of their own, if you will. These are things that, in my opinion, will define sort of what's coming next for the ITAD sector, for the end-of-life sector, for the recycling sector over the next 12 to 18 months. So let me go through these four elements. First, the e-waste export opportunity is, as you know, many of you know, is closing very quickly. If you look at some of the work that we've done, you notice Malaysia seized e-waste and arrested their own, some of their own leaders in the sector. Indonesia has, as you know, containers of e-waste that are stuck in limbo. Australia is putting trackers, specifically GPS trackers, in shipments to see where they actually end up. So this story is kind of, to me, a turning into a real enforcement with the consequences for folks in the industry, and it creates something a little more intense in terms of executive level liability for anyone who is still relying on loose export practices. The good news is most of you are probably doing the right things, but there's still a number of companies out there that are not doing the right things, and they could be, tracking them would be much, much easier these days. Secondly, very important story is the AI spending is what I would call splitting an ITAD company's portfolio into two. Server values on the secondary market are up triple digit in terms of percentage growth because of AI infrastructure demand. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have the laptop refresh cycle that are stretching past 4 years because rising memory prices are making new machines more expensive. And these are two completely different business models to businesses in general. And of course, as a result, they need different types of strategies, if you will. The third element is compliance is now beating price. What I mean by that is, as you know, the cheapest bid used to be the one that wins the ITAD deals, and I think that situation is clearly changing very quickly, at least in large enterprise and large government accounts. I note that buyers are increasingly paying more for vendors who can deliver output, the sort of output needed by enterprise. And that by output, I mean serialized tracking, named downstream facilities, things like mass balance data, and of course, a number of other things, contractual indemnification, et cetera. And so what used to be sort of your free pickup, for instance, is no longer a sufficient, or even is no longer a selling point, not just a sufficient selling point, at least among mature enterprises. Fourth, EU regulations likewise are becoming global standards. You are aware of CSRD, you're aware of the so-called digital waste shipment system, some call it EWaste, and of course, Basel enforcement, eventually California's disclosure laws. All of that is sort of setting the compliance bar for the entire world. Now, if you serve a multinational clients, EU rules are to become sort of your baseline, regardless of what your views are. For those of you, quick note, for those of you who are not operating in the EU, EWaste is the new central online platform for handling all the paperwork and the data related to cross-border waste shipment. And so starting the 21st of May, shipments involved in at least one European Union member state must use EWaste to submit notifications, consents, and other documents, and of course, exchange information between stakeholders, replacing most paper-based processes and making tracking, enforcement, and compliance more consistent across the single European market. So These, in my opinion, are the four forces that are becoming sort of the foundation of some key developments that we've been seeing in the sector over the past almost couple of months.